Hello and welcome to Let's Talk. I am Dr. Kemi Akiode Adebayo, known as Dr. Mama K. And in today's program, we'll be talking about grief, the loss of a beloved son. So it is a very sensitive topic, specifically the loss of a child. Our guest Wendy Swartz recently, sadly and tragically lost a son, Wesley. Wendy, we're really sorry for your loss, and we appreciate you having the courage in sharing your story, even though it's still fresh, I believe. But we hope, through you sharing your story will help all that might be going through similar. So can I start first with, take us through your experience of losing Wesley, how you're coping with the loss, especially the circumstance surrounding the loss.
Thank you, Mama Kay, for having me. It's coping, it has a whole different meaning now. I think you try to cope when you know you're not coping. But that little bit of life that you still have in you, people say you have all the life, but part of you was sort of felt like it was ripped. The life was ripped out of you. So that little bit of coping is not easy. You try to keep busy. You try to do what you need to do. You even invite challenges because it keeps your mind busy. But yeah, coping, I don't know, coping is I guess has a different meaning now for me. Than what it used to be.
Let's start reverse a little bit or rewind a little bit. Tell us about Wesley. Just tell us about Wesley.
Wesley was a surfer. Wesley was a quiet young man. He wasn't a child that would easily, when I was very hard on him, he would keep quiet. And when I asked him, do you have anything to say, he would keep quiet. So he loved peace. He would always tell me, Mommy, please, it's okay. When I want to figure out things, he was a peaceful child. And he didn't like conflict at all. He avoided that by all means. But he was stubborn. They say he's stubborn like me. But he was a pleasant child. Yeah, I was a pleasant child. Didn't talk too much.
So Wesley passed a few days before his 30th birthday.
Yeah, 2 days.
2 days. Exactly 2 days before he was 30. And he was supposed to get married, I think, the month after.
Yeah.
And then, as well, he's supposed to be a father in the next few, months and days as well. How have you managed to just navigate, all that complexity, and even for the fiancé, who now, even without getting married, has become a widow. Yeah. How is that, going?
It was hard, Mama Kay. It was hard. It's still hard. I had to almost get out of the role of grieving as a mother to being a grandmother in the next few days. And I think that dynamic was not easy. It was like, what is more important for me, to grieve Wesley or to be in this position as grandmother, which is in a few days actually. So you take your little time to be the grieving mother and be there for her as well. But it's not easy, She's been there for me so many times more. And you think about this child growing up without his dad. You think about how excited he was to be a dad and all the preparations he made for this child. You think about the unfairness. But at the end of the day, there's a child coming.
Yeah.
So time is not given to us or to me to grieve that much, because I have to prepare for this child to come. And I have to be a grandmother. And many people say, oh, when the child comes, it's going to be so different. I think with me, I have so much mixed emotions. I can look forward to the baby coming, yes, but the unfairness of it.
Yeah.
So there's lots of questions I have surrounding that. So many fathers are not there, but this was a father wanted to be there. So you kind of, ask God so many questions about why, and and as a grieving mother, you almost put your grieving aside. You literally put it aside. It helps you cope, but it also gives you that sort of idea of you're moving on, but you're not.
Yeah. I remember, at the funeral, but at the prayer session that was held in your home, and the funeral as well, one of the things, that stood out was, I think the shock, for a lot of people who were there, the anger, the confusion, but the love as well, and the sadness, I could see a little bit of that, and even the joy, as well, I could hear, that from some of those, who spoke, Wesley's, classmate, workmates, and so on, the family, the sister, your daughter. There was all that mixed emotions. And I think one of the things you shared, had shared with me was, because it was not sick, it was not, it was fine, it was, and then suddenly this happened. You one of the description you gave was you felt like a mad woman. So the first day or the 2 days after that, how was that really for you? Can you describe, can you even remember? Because I can't even imagine that.
I can remember, Mama Kay. It's, it feels as if you are out of your body, as you are a spectator looking at something, and that it's not happening to you, You feel like somebody that's going completely crazy. Some friend of mine said to me, when I looked at you sitting on the grass, I was wondering if it's safe for me to even say something. And nothing, nothing, no words, absolutely nothing. Nobody can say anything to calm you, to comfort you, nothing. There's not even a scripture that can, at that point when they give, it doesn't have any meaning, because the one thing that you think is this really happening to me? So it's indescribable. It's hard to describe what happened during that few days, but you feel like you're going to lose it. You almost have to sit with yourself, to gather yourself, to not lose yourself. Yeah.
Well, you've been blessed with family support, and friends and colleagues and so on. How has that helped you, between then and now? I know, yes, you're a workaholic, you're getting help, now through counseling. Where are you now in that journey? And I know the grief process is it's tough, and you go through various, process. So how are you managing to navigate, even your business, running your business or not, and all those little reminders, of him in the house?
I think you just want things to go back to normal. You kind of create a situation to make it look normal. I think he passed on the Friday. The Tuesday I worked. How I worked, I don't know. But I just wanted to, maybe that would bring things to normal. And waiting for him in the morning, coming home, you're also waiting for that. So every morning you wake up, you wait for that. It's like a new realization every day. He's not here. Oh yes, he's not here. But I must be honest, the support of friends, there's a time when you actually don't want anybody around you, literally. But I think the presence of people, which I didn't, because I'm not somebody to reach out. I need to sort out my things on my own, not because I think I can, but because it's easier for me, or I think it's easier. Until you realize actually the presence of people is very important. And that Mama Kay has helped me thing the night of the memorial at home, to see all those people. I didn't even realize there's all going to be all those people. And that was so symbolic to me of who he was. It's like, oh, okay, this helps. You know, it actually helps you to not go into a state of panic and stay in the state of shock. Because people have all sorts of stories about him, and that helps, yeah.
So, how do you think your relationship with Wesley has impacted your grief? And what are some of the memories you hold on to?
I was very, very, very hard on Wesley as a boy, because I'm a single mom, you know, and we always butt heads because he was stubborn, I was stubborn. So you'd always want to state his case and negotiate his case, and where I grew up, there was no negotiation. So he would say, "You don't listen, mommy, you don't listen." I said, "But I listen, but I want you to listen." So we kind of had that sort of thing, but he knew the only thing I wanted for him is to be the better man, the better father that he didn't have. And Wesley's role model was always my dad, and he always said, "I want to be like Pa." So if I look at him, what I would have, you know, the one thing I do regret, and I always say it, you don't, the issues the kids have is not the issues that we grew up with, and you don't have to apply the same sort of, you know, militancy or wanting to discipline them the way we were. They have different issues, and I wish that I had just been slightly a bit relaxed around him. But I was listening to my voice notes with him, and I said to his fiance, you know, the only thing I used to tell him is, "Wesley, where are you? When are you coming home? You need to sleep. You need to this." That was my love language. I wish I could have said something else. Wish I said more than what I did. I regret not doing so. But I'm not sorry for how I reared him. Sometimes I am, but I think would he have turned out the way he did? Probably not.
So, what advice will you give to others who are grieving the loss of a child? And what have you learned about yourself and your capacity for resilience?
I never thought I was resilient until this. I would tell parents or anybody to take your time, to not listen to what anybody tells you about losing someone. Your loss and your grieving process, so different. Your dynamics are so different. Somebody said to me, "You shouldn't be regretful." I said, "Yes, but I am, and I want to be. Allow me to be that until I get out of it." Take your time with grieving. Remember, everybody is different. Every death is different. Every impact it has is different. But don't be hard on yourself all the time, because there comes a time when you have to let go. You don't let go of the memory, but you have to let go because you still feel like they are coming home at that time, and you need to understand that was the time they were called, and we have to, for them to rest, we have to let go. And sometimes you think that it's about them, it's actually about you. So that resilience, I didn't think I have. I thought I was not going to make it. I thought I even said at some point, and I sometimes still feel like that, if I could exchange my life today, if God gives me an opportunity today, I would exchange it for Wesley's. Absolutely, I wouldn't hesitate. But we are here. And there's a reason why we are here. And I think, as a person, I think I do have compassion. But I think it made me even more compassionate. And I saw, you know, people always say, "You a giver, Wendy." And I said, no, I'm not a giver. I've seen how people give within themselves and their time. I need to do that when somebody goes through a loss now. So I've learned, and I know now what people need when they go through loss. Yeah, because I saw it.
You've spoken about your faith You've spoken about the support system. You've spoken about how you felt and what for you personally. And I know in the African culture, in any culture anyway, I believe, it's the prayer is always for your children to bury you rather than the other way around. And I know what you've just said, there about if you have, you could ask God to, right? And I think a lot of people, because sometimes I need to be careful how I say this. When you lose a parent, you lose a mother or father, you lose a sister, you lose a husband or wife. But I think it's not a case of comparing, but for me personally, the loss of a child, and I think especially because, yes, it's not meant to be that way, and especially in terms of the culture and tradition, of, yes, you want your children, your prayers to see your grandchildren, but not for you to be. How has that drawn you, to God more? Or I don't know. I don't even know what I'm asking. I'm being honest here. But I'm just trying to reflect on that, what you just said there. But I'm still thinking about, people will go, but it seems the loss of a child, it's just whether the child is 4 months, 6 months, 10 years, 30 years in Wesley's case, when they're still young and who had so much to live for, not even started his own life and just about starting his life, So for me, it's so deep. I'm just trying to think, how, do you sleep at night? Because at the end of the day, we can send you messages, be there, come there, take you on walk, take you for breakfast, But at the end of the day, you're going to be alone in that room. How do you feel? And I really want you to share that bit, when you're alone in that room and you're alone with God, and how you manage to navigate that.
Up till now, I think I struggle to pray. I say to people, your first thing is to call out to God. But my first thing was my anger towards God. And if I say I'm angry, I think I'm still angry. It's just less angry. But somebody said, you need to pray and you need to ask. I said, I can't ask. He knows it all. I can't pray. I can't read my Bible. I don't feel like I need to go there because He knows everything. And I think He knows my heart. He understands my heart. So for now, I'm not in the space even to even speak to God about anything. I'm trying just to understand. I said, if I have an understanding about anything, I can accept it. Anything in life. But still, I don't understand it. So in order for me, the only thing I say to the Lord, in order for me to accept it, please make me understand. In any form or any message through anybody, make me understand. And when I get the understanding, I'm not the one to be able to dictate to God, but I think that moment you are so desperate, that you need an answer. So when I'm in my room, TikTok becomes somewhat of a relief sometimes, but I went onto this near-death experiences on a podcast, and because I wanted to know, is he okay? Because that was my love language for him. Are you okay? So I wanted to know, is he okay? So when I listened to these people that died for a couple of minutes and they say the story, I thought, okay, let me hear what they say. Maybe there's a different experience. So I'm searching.
Right.
And my way to understand is to learn. So I'm still learning. But prayer and faith right now is somebody asked me to join the church on Sunday. last week, and I said to her, at this point,
Yeah, no, right.
I don't have the energy. And she said, it will be good for you. And I said, no, I don't have the energy. I don't need the energy. I just want to sometimes soak into this thing, because I know God can answer me, but His
And
way.
He will.
Yeah.
He will answer you. So, my almost final question.
Okay.
How do you see your life moving forward, and what steps are you planning to take to in memory and to honor Wesley, if there's any?
Yeah. At the beginning, Mama Kat, still at the beginning, you feel not to go on, you know. You almost feel like you feel like you want to die. It feels like death. Because you want to get there where he is to check if he's okay. You can't come back, obviously. And I said to myself, if I could go there and I could come back again and bring him back, is there a possibility? Like all these things, like crazy things. And the one thing that came to me for some reason was, you have to love Wendy. You have to love to the fullest. Because when I looked at Wesley's life, I actually saw what he lived. He did so many things. He did everything I told him to do. And you have to do the same. Can you leave that legacy when you go as he did at that age of 30? And I thought you have to do everything you can to do the things that you want to do. And I decided, actually came to me, I think 2 weeks ago, to create a perfume with his alias, Tamil. And in one evening, I somehow created the logo, everything. Like, okay, there. Now I just need to design the perfume. But it's something that I want to keep, and I want to also do it for his son. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. My final one, are there any specific support system or resources that have been helpful to you during this time? And what would you recommend to others who are grieving?
I didn't think of counseling at all. It was offered to me by a friend, and she said, I need you to come. I didn't think about it because it just was not my thing. And it actually helped. It's difficult, but it helped. So counseling is one of it. And having that one or two friends that you can really be yourself and trust. Not somebody who's going to make you feel better per se, but somebody that's going to be honest with you. I think that is the... And take yourself out for a coffee and a lunch by yourself, not with anybody.
Right.
Because in that time that you're enjoying, you think about things. You think about the pleasures of life. And you think about how you enjoyed these things before. It can still be done in a different way. If it's going to get back to normal, probably never. But that is my new normal. So I want to create a life that is honorable to Wesley's memory, and to do the things that I didn't think I could do, just to do it. Yeah, he was a risk taker. So I need to, when he surfed, there was sharks at some point. I said, you're not surfing again. And he didn't. Afterwards he went. And so he was a risk taker. So I thought that was something that I did not have as much as he did. So I think if you have that one or two friends and do the things that you always wanted to do, just do it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Wendy, for sharing your story, with us. Your vulnerability and courage will help others who are navigating similar experiences. And to our audience, we really hope that Wendy's story has provided some insight and comfort. If you're struggling with grief or know someone who is, please reach out to local support groups. There are support groups out there, or counseling service. You heard Wendy saying, even though she didn't look at that option, but one of our friends, thankful to that friend who offered, because yes, we all at some point need to talk. That's what counseling is. You talk and someone listens, not to judge you. And I don't know if you want to close with any kind of direct words of encouragement to anyone directly out there.
What I would say is to parents especially, appreciate the ones that are closest to you. Tell them, celebrate them. Doesn't need to be a birthday. Make every second of your day with that people count, because time is not guaranteed. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Indeed, time is not guaranteed. So we shouldn't wait for birthdays or any particular celebration to celebrate our children. As a single mother, as a married with husband mother, as a divorcee, whatever, let's celebrate our children. And parenting, you're right, parenting, at the end of the day, it's a big one. Well, we hope you've been inspired or encouraged or comforted. If you've gone through a loss recently or years back and still grieving, and we pray that God Almighty, whether you're a Christian or not, will continue to heal you. They always say time is a healer, but sometimes no, time, I don't think, no. You just manage to handle or to deal with it as you go. So reach out. You're not alone. I think that's the message as well. I want to say you're not alone. When you need the space, let the people around you know that you need the space. And if you are supporting anyone going through a loss, give them space, as well. Or hear what they want, not what you think. Or even torment them more with some of the questions we ask. So let's be more compassionate. I know death is the only thing we're all guaranteed, out of this world. Nobody's living this world alive. However, it's a big one when you lose a child tragically, suddenly, and through illness, through non-illness, through whatever it is. So thank you for the time, and thank you for watching and tuning in to Let's Talk. Take care. God bless.